Hey, what's up guys, it's AHH MAHH here, bringing you another Pokemon Black and White 2 PO battle, and today we have a battle against emceegramr found on the PO server, and as you can tell by the layout, it is a UU battle. You may recognize my team from my last live PO session. It is the same one, the hyper offensive one. I did make one slight minor change to it. I did replace Mienshao with Heracross, and this Heracross is the sub 3 attacking one with the Moxie ability. And let me tell you, it just wrecks teams sometimes. Once you get a sub up on something you scare, just get a couple Moxie boosts. It can really sweep teams. Nothing else has really changed. It's just the same choice users and whatnot. And very offensive. I know I have to keep the offensive momentum on his team if I want to win. But looking at his team, he does have the Scrafty, and Scrafty is always a huge threat. It can set up all over your face. It was a big threat in OU, and now it's an even bigger one in UU. Galvantula I'm not too worried about. He does have a couple RU guys on his team. Sometimes RU does work in UU, like his Cofagrigus. That is probably going to be the biggest pain to take out, mostly because my guys can't cleanly 1 a KO or 2 a KO that thing. So, yeah, the other guys, it's just defensive walls. His team's pretty defensive, minus the Scrafty and the Galvantula. So, let's see how I can play around that. So, I'm going to lead off with my Darmanitan as he leads off with the Scrafty. And the reason I lead with Darmanitan, just get up momentum and go for the U-turn. I do predict this Slowbro to come, which is why I did go for the U-turn. And he's a Rocky Helmet Slowbro, which is pretty cool. Cause not for me though, because my Darmanitan will be taking quite a bit of damage every time I U-turn out. So I'm gonna go straight down to my Raikou and predict this Umbreon switch and go for the Volt Switch. Looking at that damage, this Umbreon is very especially defensive. So this is why I'm talking about momentum. It is Volt Turn, but it's UU, so you can't complain. So I'm gonna switch out into my Heracross, go for the substitute, knowing I scare out the Umbreon with both either close combat or the Mega Horn. But he switches out into this best wall to Heracross, which is his Cofagrigus. And here he goes for Haze, predicting me to be a sub Sword Stance variant of sorts. But I'm just the 3 attacking set, so I'm not going for the Sword Stance. I'm just gonna go for the Mega Horn right here. Doesn't do a whole lot. I know Stone Edge does do a tad more, but I really did not want to miss. Plus, you can just break my sub with the Nightshade anyway. So I'm gonna go into Darmanitan, because it can do a bit more damage to Cofagrigus with the Flare Blitz and stuff. But he has to go for the Pain Split, which tells me he doesn't have the rest, which is very good to know. So now I do predict this Slowbro to come back in and go for the U-turn. And that Rocky Helmet is doing quite a bit of damage to my Darmanitan. He is getting the better end of the deal there because he does have the Regenerator. I'm going for the Dark Pulse on the Slowbro, or in case he switched out into Cofagrigus with my Porygon Z. But he actually goes into his Galvantula, kind of surprised me. But it almost OHKOs the Galvantula, and then he gets off a Thunder, and he paralyzes my Raikou, which is like, wow. But because of Compound Ice, it did hit, and he actually goes for Giga Drain because if he did go for another Thunder, he would have died to Life Orb anyway. So I'm able to take him out with the Volt Switch, but my Raikou is paralyzed, so I won't be doing a whole lot of work this battle anymore. So as I go into Darmanitan, he's not just Slowbro. I'm just going to U-turn again, and again the Rocky Helmet will be giving me damage, so that sucks, and I'm hoping that Raikou can live a Scald from that range, but of course it can't. So Slowbro's going to take out my Raikou, which really sucks now because I don't have Volt Turn anymore. But I can send out my Porygon Z and threaten now with the Dark Pulse. I'm actually going to predict this Umbreon to come in and go for the Tri-Attack, and that is basically a 2-hit KO because I am the Choice Specs variant. So this Umbreon's going to go for the Protect. I did not predict that. I just went into Darmanitan to hit it harder on its physical side, as I know it is a huge special wall. He's gonna go for the Protect again, seeing as I failed the first time, it will hit the second time. But so he just got what I wanted to do. I just went for the U-turn, but he goes into Slowbro, and Slowbro can take those for days. Except I got a crit on it, which is great for me, but it really was not that game changing, as he does have the Regenerator and the Slack Off, as you'll see. So it really didn't matter. But I can scare him out with my Heracross during the Mega Horn. I'm gonna go for the sub again, but this Cofagrigus comes in, which resists both my dual stabs. So I'm forced to go for the Stone Edge. Does a bit more than Mega Horn. Luckily for me, I hit, but it really doesn't matter because he does have the Pain Split, like I said. So I'm gonna break my sub with the Nightshade. I'm gonna predict another Nightshade, and I'm gonna go into my Porygon Z because I am immune to all Ghost type attacks. And here I realize, okay, this Cofagrigus needs to die. I'm just gonna go for the Trick just to give him my Choice Specs because Porygon Z really doesn't need it because it's already very especially offensive. And choicing this Cofagrigus will really help out. So I really should have gone for the Tri-Attack here, predicting him to switch because he did lock himself into the Pain Split. But I wasn't smart enough to do that, so I'm actually going to go for the HE Fighting. And here I also should have gone for the Tri-Attack because a neutral Tri-Attack with the Adaptability boost does a lot more than the super effective HP Fighting. Well, not a lot more, it does about like 6%-ish more. But He's able to get up a wish because I didn't take him out because I do not have my choice specs anymore. But I'm just going for the Tri Attack, and as you see, he does do a tiny bit more than a super effective HP fighting, which is why I'm going to keep going for Tri Attacks as he goes for wish. So I know the Protect is coming, even though he can survive another Tri Attack. He doesn't want to risk a crit or anything like that. So go into my Heracross, predicting the Protect. So as I see, he switches out back into Cofagrigus. I'm just going to go for another sub. I could go for double switches, but honestly, this Cofagrigus can't really touch Heracross because I can't switch out just like that. I do predict him to go into for the Nightshade because he has choice now, so he has to go for the Nightshade to break my sub. So even though I was behind the sub, I did switch right away into Porygon Z. As he goes out into Umbreon to take my Tri Attack, luckily for me, I do get the burn on the thing, which is finally going to get some residual damage on it. He does have the Synchronized ability, so luckily I didn't give him the Paralysis or the Freeze. So yeah, so I'm going to go for another Tri Attack, trying to get as much damage as possible, but he does go for the Wish. So I know the Protect is coming because he does not want to die. I'm going to go back right out into my Heracross as his Protect fails, obviously, but he does get that Wish off, so I know he does not want to stay in, even though my substitute is pretty obvious. So this time, I'm just going to go for the Mega Horn straight away, knowing the Cofagrigus will come in. So now I'm going to go for the substitute on the second turn that Heracross is in because I really want to see what this Cofagrigus would lock himself into. He actually double switches, predicting me to go into Porygon Z, predicting his Nightshade. So he goes out into his Umbreon, but I just went for the substitute. So now I have a free sub, and I can take out this Umbreon finally with the Mega Horn. So his defensive cores are slowly falling apart now. But because I hit the Cofagrigus earlier, I do not have my Moxie ability anymore, I have the Mummy ability. I do not have the +1 for taking out the Umbreon, so it will be a 3 KO on the Sand Slash instead of that 2 KO. And he can break my sub with the Stone Edge, so I do not want Heracross taking that, so I'm going to go into a Azumarill. He predicts that very nicely. He's going to go for the knockoff, to knock off my Choice Band, which really stinks for me because Azumarill really needs that Choice Band to do some work. I do predict his Slowbro to come in, and I'm going to go for the return because Slowbro is the best thing you can take, a Waterfall. But with the Choice Band, return does about half the Slowbro, so as you can see, Azumarill really needs that Choice Band because it didn't do anything to the Slowbro. So I have to go into Bronzong because it's the best thing I have to take on the Slowbro. He's trying to fish for the Scald Burn, doesn't get the first time, so I'm able to get a Toxic on the Slowbro, but he's actually going to get the second time, which is kind of stinky for me because I really can't do anything to Slowbro with the Gyro Ball or the Earthquake. Now, I never really could in the first place, but I do get residual damage. I ended up getting my late game, or mid game rocks rather, which really didn't help because nothing on his team's weak to Stealth Rocks at all. But he's going to go into Scrafty. He goes for the substitute as I go for the Toxic. Kind of a bad play on my part, but I did not know that Scrafty carried the substitute. So I did not want this thing setting up all over my face, which is the reason why I switched out. If I realized he is a sub 3 attack set like my Heracross with the Moxie ability, then I would have just sacked my Bronzong. But he actually gets a crit Drain Punch as I switch that into Azumarill, which really stinks. And on top of all that, without my Choice Band, the Aqua Jet doesn't even break his substitute, and he gets that big Moxie ability. But here, I'm actually going to predict him to go for another sub, predicting me to go for the Close Combat to get the defense drops, which is exactly what he does, and I'm able to get up my substitute of my own. Except my plan doesn't work out because I missed the Mega Horn. The reason I went for that is because I did not want the special defense drop, because even at +1, Heracross can take its coverage move, which is Ice Punch. It can take it rather nicely. It doesn't even do half the Heracross, which is why I did not go for Close Combat. So I'm actually going to go for the Mega Horn, again predicting his Slowbro to come in, which is exactly what he does, and after Toxic damage and Stealth Rock damage, the Slowbro is going to go down. So that was a great play on my part. The Slowbro is finally gone, but now this draft can come back in. Here I make a huge misclick. I go for the Mega Horn once again instead of the Close Combat. I was just smashing the cancel button, but PO of course doesn't let you do that often, so I only get the cancel button like 50% of the time. So that really sucked for me, but now I can send out my Darmanitan. I actually went for the Superpower here, just in case he wants to stay in. If he switched out, it really didn't matter because I still have my Porygon Z, and this Cofagrigus is basically crippled with the Choice Specs, but he actually double switches into Scrafty, predicting my Porygon Z. Good play on his part, except he overlooked the part that Porygon Z naturally outspeeds Scrafty anyway. So I'm able to take him out with the Tri Attack, and Porygon Z is basically going to clean up right here because nothing can take my Tri Attacks anymore from that range. Sand Slash is going to go down, and I believe with the Choice Specs after Stealth Rock damage, at full health, Porygon Z OHKO Sand Slash anyway. So this Cofagrigus comes back in because it has my Choice Specs. I can switch up moves, and I'm able to take him out with the Dark Pulse. So that is definitely a good game, emceegramr, just a 3-0, my favorite. The score definitely did not represent how close that battle was until near the end. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.